I am Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Music 101. Music 101 is all about music itself and, well, empowering legendary icon in the music industry. And of course, my partner in crime, Mr. Mick Smith, the Dr. Digital.
Yes, a partner in crime. We're going to talk about love, but a little bit of crime as well.
Love is in the air, people, because
Love is in the
today,
air.
yes, because today we're gonna talk about love, love, love. So, Mr. Mick, why is it love?
Well, yeah, I thought we'd take a look at thematically, so I thought it'd be interesting. Love songs of the 1960s. I think it's the golden age of romance. So, what we would say makes this a golden age of romance? Well, where else to start but Elvis Presley? He was still in the pop charts. He had been in the army, and so people had wondered, what's he going to do coming out of the early rock and roll period and all that success? But he released Can't Help Falling in Love. That's a timeless ballad by Presley, released at the beginning of the decade in 1961. That's a single from Elvis Presley's album Blue Hawaii, and also featured in the movie, same name, Blue Hawaii. That's a romantic classic. It's a masterclass in subtlety that Elvis's smooth, velvety vocals delivering a tender and heartfelt performance. Song's melodies, beautiful, lilting waltz with a simple but effective piano accompaniment that allows Elvis's voice to take center stage. The lyrics are a poignant exploration of the inevitability of falling in love, with lines like a dream come true, baby. I found a girl like you. And I can't help falling in love with you, that capture that thrill and uncertainty, romantic
Yes.
discovery. The song's production is equally impressive, with a lush orchestral arrangement and a subtle use of strings that adds depth and texture to the overall sound. Now, he was the king of rock and roll, and of course, one of the most popular and influential musicians continued into the 1960s. They recorded many love songs during that period. So, Are You Lonesome Tonight? In 60, It's Now or Never, 1960, Surrender, 61, Good Luck Charms, 62, Suspicious Minds, 69, Can't Help Falling in Love, 61, Love Me Tender, 62, Return to Sender, 62, You'll Be Gone, 62, and then the seasonal one, I'll Be Home for Christmas in 65. That's just a few of the many love songs recorded by Elvis in the 60s, and his music is known for its catchy melodies, lush harmonies, romantic lyrics, making him one of the most beloved and enduring musicians of all time. And this is an entire time for romantic tunes that tug at our heartstrings, especially people like me who grew up during that era. Top groups of the era, like the Beatles, the Supremes, and the Beach Boys, created timeless classics that continue to be endured and adored by fans around the world. So the Beatles' iconic I Want to Hold Your Hand, to the Supremes' catchy Stop in the Name of Love, and the Beach Boys' feel good hit Wouldn't It Be Nice? And those songs are filled with nostalgia and passion, perfectly capture the innocence and optimism of young love in a simpler time. So whether you're reminiscing about your own teenage crush, like people like me, or in simply enjoying good music from an era gone by, love songs from the 60s are sure to bring a smile to your face and warmth to your heart. The Beatles' I Want to Hold Your Hand was performed live in the Ed Sullivan Show in 1964. The Beatles had conquered England in 1963. Ed Sullivan was in London asking what was the traffic jam all about. It was this new band. They were saying the Beatles. And he said, I need to get them on my show. So 64, they conquered America. I Want to Hold Your Hand was the Beatles' first record to top both the UK and the US charts, first to be recorded on a 4-track as opposed to the usual 2-track machine. And following their historic appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show, February 9th, 64, that single, already number one in the charts, gained further momentum. So if you got on the Ed Sullivan Show, you were a hit across the country because everybody was watching Ed Sullivan. They
Ed
take the
Sullivan.
performance of their song, day of their live appearance, and was shown on the Sullivan Show February 23rd. And that helped to maintain the song's popularity. And this avalanche of publicity, engineered by their manager, Brian Epstein, helped the single stay at the top for 7 weeks, which made it the longest running number one of their career up until Hey Jude. Beatles, of course, are one of the most influential and successful bands of the 60s. They wrote and recorded many love songs during that period. So I Want to Hold Your Hand, 63, She Loves You, 63, Can't Buy Me Love, 64, And I Love Her, 64, Yesterday, 65, Michelle, 65, Something, 69, Here, There, and Everywhere, 66, For No One, 66, and All You Need Is Love, 67. So that's just some of the many love songs recorded by the Beatles, and they're known for their catchy melodies, lush harmonies, romantic lyrics, making them one of the most beloved and enduring bands of all time. What about the Supremes?
Oh,
Stop in the
yes.
Name of
I love
Love.
In the
They are
Name of Love.
phenomenal. It's 65. See, you're going to start singing it. I know. It's
Yes.
so catchy, right? So what's interesting about the Supremes, they were one of the most successful American performers, rivaling even the Beatles by producing 5 consecutive #1 singles. And the Supremes' music was that perfect blend of pop and soul that appealed to wide audiences, making them one of the most successful performers in Middle America. And the Motown slogan really made a whole lot of sense, the sound of young America. So the 60s were that transformative era in music, love songs playing a significant role in the shape and sentiment of the decade. From the folk revival to the rise of rock and roll, music scene was ablaze with heartfelt ballads and romantic anthems that captured the essence of love in all its forms. So that impact on popular culture and lasting legacy allows a nostalgic journey through those tunes and a timeless melody. So girl groups were instrumental in the 60s, and we've talked here about Music in 101, about the Ronettes, but you can also mention the Crystals and the Shirelles along with the Supremes because they're all very similar, the so-called girl groups of the 60s. How about Wouldn't It Be Nice? The Beach Boys.
Oh, yes.
Great song, timeless classic. That was
For
released in
sure.
66. It's an iconic song, a poignant reflection on the longing for a romantic relationship, lyrics that capture the yearning and vulnerability of young love. The song's harmonies, like many of the Beach Boys, are a masterclass in vocal blending, with Brian Wilson's signature falsetto soaring above the lush instrumentation. Song's melody is both catchy and melancholic, with a memorable piano riff and a soaring chorus that become one of the most recognizable in pop music. And it certainly influenced the Beatles because they started to say, wait a minute, who are these groups from California? The Beach Boys, and they wanted to be part of a rival and got them to really write and record Sgt. Pepper's after they heard this set. In any case, the Beach Boys songs is maybe if we think and wish and hope and pray, it might come true. Then all of our dreams would come true. And that speaks of that universal longing for love and happiness. So just some of the ideas and theme songs, iconic from the 1960s.
And thank you so much for giving those love songs, because until now we are cherishing them, and I hope our generations to come will continue those love songs. So, what are the defining characteristics of love song in that era, Mr. May?
Yeah, there's some characteristic that you can say, and this is mentioning the Beatles, but it's impacted by the British invasion. So love songs were marked by their heartfelt lyrics, melodic tunes, and often dreamy or idealistic themes. They reflected the spirit of the times, from innocent teenage crushes to deeper explorations of love and heartbreak. So the British invasion of the 60s brought a whole new wave of love songs to the forefront. So artists like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and the Kinks created a unique sound that captivated audiences worldwide. So let's talk about one of the most beloved love songs of the era, Yesterday by the Beatles. Now, of course,
Mm.
this gets attributed to Lennon and McCartney. That was their agreement, but it's really all McCartney. And that's it, because the band really didn't play on this. But it's one of the most iconic love songs of all time. It's a melancholic acoustic ballad that featured McCartney's heartfelt vocals and a beautiful melody. The song's lyrics are a poignant expression of regret and longing, with McCartney singing about a lost love and the memories that linger. So that song's simplicity and intimacy make it a timeless classic. It's widely considered one of the most covered songs in history. Well, how about the Rolling Stones, As Tears Go By? This is a classic and timeless ballad, but it showcases the band's softer, more introspective side. Released in 1964, that's a departure from the Stones' usual gritty rock song. And so they opted for a much more melodic and delicate approach than most of the other songs of the Stones. Written by Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, and Rolling Stones manager Andrew Loog Oldham, lyrics reflect themes of loneliness, regret, and vulnerability. 1964, Marianne Faithfull originally recorded the song before it was given to the Stones to release as their own. Her song peaked at number 9 in both the UK and Irish singles charts, with its haunting melody and poignant lyrics. As Tears Go By remains one of the old standout tracks in the Rolling Stones' extensive discography, capturing that moment of emotional depth in an otherwise wild and energetic group. That tune was included on the American album December's Children and Everybody's. The Kinks, I mentioned, a British rock band known for their eclectic and influential music, and that's also the name of the band as well. They're the Kinks. Not surprisingly, they had a number of iconic love songs also, and they'd written a number of them. Tired of Waiting for You, 65, Set Me Free, 65, All of My Friends Were There, 66, Sunny Afternoon, 66, Waterloo Sunset, 67. So just a few examples of the Kinks' iconic love songs. I'll mention one specifically, and that was Set Me Free. That hit number 23 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100, 24 on the U.S. Cashbox Top 100, number 9 UK Singles Chart, and number 2 in Canada. Set Me Free is a song by Ray Davies, who did write most of the music. Along with Tired of Waiting You, it's one of the band's first attempts at a softer, more introspective sound. So there's something like the Stones, and usually they're kind of wild and outrageous, but here is a more reflective and iconic type of love song. And this was one of their best songs, Set Me Free, and it characterized the Kinks' softer and more gentle side.
Gentle side. So, what love songs characterize the rise of soul and R&B?
Yes, this is important to mention. So, as the 60s progressed after the British invasion, more towards the latter part of the 1960s, soul and R&B began to gain popularity. So there's artists like Aretha Franklin, Otis Redding, and Marvin Gaye, creating a new kind of love song. And most iconic soul-loving songs, Respect by Aretha Franklin, who we have featured, of course, on Music 101. But I'll point out one important song by Aretha. Respect by Aretha Franklin is from the album I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You in 1967. It was written and originally recorded by Otis Redding, but it's the Aretha Franklin version that became the anthem of the civil rights and women's rights movements during its ascent to, of course, number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart in 1967. Serves several purposes as well, since it qualifies as a love song as well, and Aretha is demanding respect from her partner, and that's what everybody needs in a relationship, respect. And that song is a classic with Muscle Shoals musicians producing an incredibly tight support musically to Aretha's earthy and heartfelt lyrics. I had mentioned Otis Redding, Try a Little Tenderness. He's known for his soulful and emotive voice, and he has many iconic love songs to his credit. However, if I had to pick out one that stands out as arguably the most iconic, I would say it's Try a Little Tenderness. Released in 1967, it's a beautiful, heartfelt ballad that showcases Otis Redding's incredible vocal range and emotional delivery. The song's lyrics are a poignant expression of love and devotion, and Otis's voice conveying a sense of vulnerability and longing. It's been covered by many artists over the years, but Otis Redding's original version remains the most iconic and widely recognized. It's a staple of soul and R&B music, and its impact can still be felt today. If you haven't listened to it for a while, I recommend giving it a spin. It's a timeless classic. How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You, Marvin Gaye. Released in 1964. Yeah, it's a great song. See, it brings memories and it gives thoughts about good stuff. A classic Motown love song that showcases Marvin Gaye's smooth, soulful voice and his ability to craft catchy, memorable melodies. It's a heartfelt expression of love and devotion, with Marvin's voice conveying a sense of joy and contentment. That song's iconic status is due in part to its innovative production, which is typical of Motown. It features a driving beat, lush harmonies, and a memorable guitar riff. How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You has been covered by many artists over the years, but Marvin Gaye's original version remains the most iconic and widely recognized. The song is often cited as one of the greatest love songs of all time, and it's easy to see why. It's a timeless classic that continues to mention and be delighting to all listeners to this day. So kind of limited by time, obviously, but in this category, I'd also include Sam Cooke, Jackie Wilson, the Four Tops, Ray Charles, the Temptations, and Wilson Pickett. Now, you haven't asked me what my favorite love song of all time is,
What is it?
but I'm going to mention it anyway. It's in this genre. And that's Percy Sledge's When a Man Loves a Woman. That was released in 1966. And so my sister and I used to bop to our little cheap transistor radios on AM. Those are the kind of songs that we were listening to in the 60s.
Very well said. Very well said, Mr. Nick. Timeless love song. So, what was the exploration of a new emotions and relationship in music?
Yeah, it's really interesting about the 60s love song because love songs began to develop and delve into more complex emotions and relationship. This is really interesting. They weren't the simple boy loves girl loves boy kind of songs, but songwriters pushed boundaries by exploring themes like heartache, longing, and empowerment in love, reflecting the changing dynamics of romantic connections. In the 1960s, love songs began to evolve and take on a more complex tone as society progressed and went through various social changes, particularly the ones that I grew up with, that is civil rights and the Vietnam War. The lyrics of love song reflected the heartache and longing that people experienced in their relationships. Artists began to explore themes of unrequited love, betrayal, and the struggles of keeping a relationship alive in the face of obstacles. Music of the decade became more introspective and emotional, capturing the complexity of love in a way that had not been done previously. Giving an example, the 60s, of course, I Can't Help Falling in Love with You by Elvis. The lyrics of the song express the vulnerability and surrender that comes with falling in love, while acknowledging the fear of heartache and loss. Melody and instrumentation of the song complement the emotional depth of the lyrics, creating a sense of longing and yearning that resonates with listeners. But I'll give you two other examples that can be added to this. You Don't Have to Say You Love Me. Great song by Dusty Springfield, 1966. Song explores the theme of unrequited love and the lyrics conveying a sense of longing and yearning for someone who doesn't reciprocate their feelings. Other examples, The Tracks of My Tears by Smokey Robinson, The Miracles, 65. This song expresses the struggles of keeping a relationship alive in the face of obstacles, with the lyrics describing the pain and heartache that comes with losing a loved one. So these songs represent an evolution of love songs in the 60s, which reflected changing attitudes towards love and relationships during that time. They showcase the complexity and emotional depth that characterized love songs in the decades and paved the way for the more diverse and nuanced love songs that continue to be written and enjoyed today. 60s saw a seismic shift in societal norms about love and relationships, movements like the sexual revolution and civil rights shaping cultural attitudes. Love songs there have reflected this changing landscape by challenging traditional ideas of romance and intimacy. And so, in a decade marked by social upheaval and cultural transformation, love songs of the 60s are a poignant reminder of the power of music to capture the essence of love in all its complexity. So, overall, the progression of love songs in the 60s reflected the changing attitudes towards love and relationships during that time. People became more aware of the complexities and challenges of love. Artists began to explore these themes in their music, creating songs that were more nuanced and emotionally resonant. Evolution of songs this decade laid the foundation for the diverse and complex songs that continue to be written and enjoyed today. So, honorable mentions in this category include the operatic voice of Roy Orbison and the complexities of relationships by the best representatives of Blue Eyed Soul, the Righteous Brothers.
Yes, love song, people. But before we go on, Mr. Mick, I want
Yes,
to please do purchase one of my Food 101 merchandise, people. These are
you bet.
our product of our Food 101 on our fourth season with Chef Alessandro, one of a specialty chef in one of the five-star hotel in downtown Toronto. Name it, and we have it. As we're saying, accessory pouch, apron, bento box. What else? Lots of bags, people. And of course, mags too. So please do a purchase available on Etsy and Shopify. So, Mr. Mick, can you plug in your books and projects?
You bet. Certainly. I thank you for the opportunity, Daniel. Of course, those are available on Amazon. That's Burning America in the Best Interest of the Children, and On Track, Ian Hunter. And of course, listen to the Doctor of Digital podcast and also meet me on Facebook at a private Facebook group. I am known as the Idea to Author Coach. And what I do there is I help business leaders, CEOs, and entrepreneurs break through their obscurity through written presentations, building credibility and authority. That's the idea to author coach on Facebook and, of course, Dr. Digital podcast. It's available
Ye-
everywhere.
Yes, yes, yes. Please support Mr. Mick because if you support him, more books to come. What will be your upcoming book, Mr. Mick?
Yes, I got several projects on the agenda. So, got one on history, one on work-life balance, and I've mentioned before, I'd like to do something with the Chipmunk, who is known as the voice of Woodstock, but he's done so much more other than that. It's easier to name the bands and artists who he has not worked with than to name all the ones that he has, because throughout that entire period, there are folk artists, jazz artists, rock artists, the festivals, Woodstock, Altamont, all of this stuff, including John Paul II's Mass at Dodger Stadium. I mean, he's everybody he's worked with, including some of the artists that I've mentioned here today on the program.
Yes, yes, yes. Looking forward for that. And of course, I think Miss Aretha Franklin. Yes. So, Mr. Mick, what is the impact on fashion, art, and lifestyle trends by love songs?
Yeah, the influence has really been important. So it's seamlessly woven into the fabric of popular culture through use in film and television. So whether they're setting a mood for a romantic scene or evoking nostalgia of a period piece, these timeless tunes continue to captivate audiences across generation. 60s were a pivotal time for love songs with the rise of the British invasion, folk rock, and Motown, among other genres. And these love songs can be still seen in popular culture, particularly in film and TV. So it gives some musical examples that demonstrate the influence. The Beatles' Yesterday. So it became iconic, of course, shaped the sound of popular music. And the song's melancholy melody and introspective lyrics have been covered by countless artists. That song was used in the 2000 film Love Actually to convey the longing and nostalgia of characters' unrequited love. You're talking about California, got to mention the Mamas and the Papas, California Dreamin' in 65. And that's a song that has been featured in numerous films and TV shows, including the 2000 film The Wedding Planner and the TV series Gossip Girl. The song's wistful, laid back vibe has made it a go to choice for scenes depicting romance, nostalgia, and longing. So, with the Mamas and the Papas, in addition to California Dreamin', there's Monday Monday 66, Look Through My Window 65. And this is generally considered the Mamas and Papas' best love song. The romantic ballad features lush harmonies and a soaring chorus, showcasing the group's signature vocal blend. The song's lyrics, written by John Phillips, also praised for their sincerity and emotional depth. Look Through My Window. It's been praised by critics for its timeless quality, many considering one of the greatest love songs of all time. But they also wrote and recorded, dedicated to the one I love, 67, I Saw Her Again, 66, Go Where You Want to Go, 65, 12:30, Young Girls Are Coming to the Canyon, 67, Creek Alley, 67 as well. So there are many love songs recorded by the Mamas and the Papas in the 60s. Their music is known for its catchy melodies, lush harmonies, romantic lyrics, making them one of the most beloved and enduring vocal groups of the 60s. Those examples illustrate the enduring influence of 1960s love songs on popular culture and film and TV. The music of the era continues to be referenced, reinterpreted, and reimagined in contemporary media, demonstrating its lasting impact on our cultural landscape.
Yes, yes, yes. Very well said, Mr. Mick. And to sum up our discussion, so what is the nostalgia, legacy, and enduring sentimental value of the 1960s love songs?
Yeah, I think you can see this impact all over the place with fashion, art, and lifestyle. So the 60s were a transformative time for fashion, art, and lifestyle trends, and those love songs play a significant role in shaping cultural movements. So some examples of love songs' impact and enduring influence, fashion, art, and lifestyle. The Beatles, Can't Buy Me Love, 64. That helped popularize the mod subculture, emphasize clean cut, youthful fashion. The song's lyrics celebrate the joy of being in love, inspired a generation of young people to adopt the mod style, characterized by slim fit suits, slim ties, and scooters. That mod look was influencing in British fashion, creating clothing that reflected the mod aesthetic. At the time, there were two main groups in British youth culture, the mods and the rockers. So one time they asked Ringo Starr, "Are you a mod or are you a rocker? So what does he say? He says, I'm a mucker. So very clever, very witty. And that's why people fell in love with the Beatles, because they were very clever and very witty and never seen anything like that. So Can't Buy Me Love entered the UK singles charts at number 8. Following week, it knocked Little Children by Billy J. Kramer and the Dakotas from a top spot, and it stayed there for the next 3 weeks. So interesting song and very influential. So other songs and enduring influence, the Beach Boys, God Only Knows, 66. That's the harmonies and lyrics that have had a huge influence, and that song's dreamy orchestral arrangement and lyrics about love and devotion inspired a whole generation of young people to adopt that laid-back, beach-inspired lifestyle. And the song's influence can be seen in the development of California fashion that reflected the relaxed, beachy vibe of the song. The Supremes' Baby Love, 64, is a massive hit. Catchy lyrics and about young love helped shape the sound of Motown, and also development of mainstream fashion that had that song's upbeat, youthful energy captured in fashion. And it's the rise of the girl group phenomenon, young women emulating the Supreme style and sound. And boy, they had style. So 60s love songs, influence on fashion, art, and lifestyle, has that sentimental value for those of us who were growing up during that time, and for everybody else, just enjoy, because they're such a really great songs.
Enjoy, people. And the 1960s are often considered the golden age of romance in music, marked by the proliferation of timeless love songs that continue to resonate across generations. So, Mr. Mick, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel, my friend, partner in crime.
Tune in next week, people, for another iconic or legendary icon in the music industry that we're gonna discuss. So, Mr. Mick, as I said, thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Moticon, people. See you soon.